Hi. I'll start the song with the show with a song. New you. That's a song being offered by Dwayne Hepner as a connection to the real universes. A person tests it for themselves, like for 15 minutes each evening before you go to sleep, and for 15 minutes or so when you wake up in the morning, see what life shows you. The new presentation being offered to the beings on planet Earth and other worlds. It's a big opportunity to learn how we can earn our way out of these psych realms, which are the physical and the astral and the causal and the mental and the etheric, and then get through the deep dark border with the assistance of real guides for those that want to find out for themselves. Test the New You song and check out the wonderful worldwide educators at www.wonderfulworldwideeducators.com, and the new presentation, and see if you want to become involved in the projects that are in development. The total universal rainforest, planting a forest of fruits and nuts and stuff for us to live on, and to help provide air, oxygen for the earth. And then there's the All Solar Research Vessel project, which will have on board on the vessels. There'll be the Nations United Universal University, and it'll be going around the oceans and trying to make things better for everyone, clean up the water and provide good water for those that don't have it on Earth, and good food, and try to have cleaner air. So today I'll read some of one of the new books in the series, The Adventure Is, by Dwayne, the great writer. The books are available at lulu.com, or if you get a hold of Kelsey Lynn Brown on Facebook or YouTube, you can get PDFs of them. Here's an interesting tidbit for our readers to note. Dwayne, the original organic constitution for the people was created in 1788. In 1871, the amended version of the U.S. Constitution of the people was enacted, which was actually an act of treason by Congress at the time. In 1871, the United States Corporation was formed for the District of Columbia, which is controlled by the certain few and has been since then. The United States of America, a sovereign republic, is different from the United States Corporation. We are giving a brief outline of what has taken place without the knowledge of most Americans knowing it. Lincoln, Kennedy, and several other presidents were assassinated by the certain few, as they have planned their takeovers for centuries. It is hard for most people to imagine this can all be so. But as one does their research and discovers who the certain few, the elites, really are, they begin to wake up to the bigger picture. The earth is not a safe place to live and reside, because there are far too many creatures in this realm who are only interested in takeovers and making everyone else their slaves. Since the duplication of the U.S. Constitution, Americans no longer have rights. They only are granted privileges. For hundreds of years, the world order thugs have made an untold amount of restrictions for the citizens of the United States, which the corporate deceptors are basically immune from, as they stand behind their corporate shield and watch others suffer for what they decide. The certain few have invested all their time and effort for centuries into making everyone except themselves debt-ridden and responsible for the debts they, the certain few, have created. The truth of this seems to be so far out, more like an alien invasion in a sci-fi movie, that all anyone has to do is take a look around and see it happening. The examples are everywhere and have become so obvious, yet most people still want to believe their government can fix things, and if not, their gods will fix everything. There is no real honorable government in the United States. Only those who control others from their corporate empire and dictate terms to the so-called privileged. Until each person realizes that everything comes from themselves and that they must figure out the paradox of themselves, they will stay asleep to all their most wonderful possibilities, which only the real guides can provide. What is happening on the earth is only the first step to wake up to. What has taken place recently and so far, as an example, 9/11, Japan, the Gulf oil crisis, the wars in the Middle East, and so much more every day, and these are wake-up calls, is all part of an overall total takeover. It is not that this is something coming someday. It has already been here for the longest time, and more so than any plague mankind has ever known. The certain few do not care about the environment on the earth. With them, only power and control always come first. They are not concerned about the lives of anyone except their own, as they have proven this all the time. People have been bred to think and believe the earth is the only place in all of life. So they have become the manipulated slaves to work and pay taxes and fines according to the laws made by those who hold the whips. We have all created ourselves and are the end result of that creation so far. We can change our course and ideas at any time, and all we have to do is decide to do so. Most people are taught that some kind of God or deity created us. And so each person that agrees with what they have been taught from the authorities and officialness is at the mercy of their agreement to what they are now and feel hopeless to change it unless they bow to some form of authority to provide for them. I am not referring to the idea of what a person does, but what a person is in their real awareness. Everything that is outside of us will always be accustomed to change, but each person can determine what and who they are from their real awareness, more so than what their mind and emotions have been conditioned to. The greatest confusion for most people is they do not understand the difference between the gods of man and the all is. To most people, the all is a fallacy because it is too real. So they gladly and actually, from lifetimes of suppression to do so, believe in the gods of men, who have held a whip over them for eons. There are no regulations, commandments, rules, ceremonies, rituals, confessions, guilt trips, persecution, sacrifices, worship, groveling, and so much more that has held people in submission and slavery with the all is as there are with the gods of man. Real freedom is real, but only with the all is, and never the invented gods of deception. While we are here on this subject, I have taken the time to study the fallacy about the idea of the burden of the income tax scam. The IRS is not a government agency. It is an agency for the IMF. The IMF is an agency of the UN. The U.S. has not had a treasury since 1921. The U.S. Treasury is now the IMF. There is only one law, and that is with the one world order, the certain few, and their created monetary system of federal notes. They market a relationship with the humans, employ them into unconstitutional agreements right in front of them. The certain few have made the system very complex, but there are many people who are able to see through all the smoke and mirrors that the United States Corporation has created for themselves. The vast majority of humans have a false sense of security in their authorities and in their gods. It would seem that on the surface there is something of value to what is happening here. But as one researches behind the scenes, they will see the bigger picture and all the deceit and dishonor that is in place. For humans, the internet can serve as a very useful tool to gain a lot of information from. But unfortunately, most people will not know what to do, or they will become involved with some type of revolt or rebellion. These type of people will always be asking the question, why has this taken place, and why can't they be honest and nice? It is really not a matter of so-called doing something about those who are misbehaving. It is all about becoming more aware and learning how to get beyond this world and into the real universes. No one can drag someone else from what they are deciding, but they can learn for themselves about real guidance now, said Ursha. You are wonderful, Miss Lou. You have done your homework again. I have explored so much research on what we are covering here, and in so much more detail, because there is years of reading material that a person must go through to understand what has taken place for just the last 100 years or so. All of this is nothing new, as this world and so many others have gone through the same course of events to finally wake up to something real. We are making this opportunity to become more aware while we are here, and so I cannot say if someone else will step forward and do as we have as the future of the earth becomes apparent from all the cause and effect. Now, I would like to contribute here as to some of the investigation I have done about the IRS. Karl Marx claimed that to create a classless society, a graduated income tax must be used to destroy all classes of people. Thereby there will only be those in control. Thereby there will only be those in control and those who must obey the controllers. The certain few have become the real magicians of the earth, and they have neatly created a matrix of confusion with the laws they make over others. Those in the courts who do not agree are soon convinced otherwise, or threatened in various ways. The idea of there being some form of status from one person to another is the illusion of the certain few have conjured up with smoke and mirrors. Human history has already proven that the so-called royal are from a line of those who at one time decided to take over of what others had, then proclaim themselves to be kings and queens, as Napoleon decided he was the emperor, and Adolf Hitler became the Führer. The whole of life does not recognize anything but what is real and true. The tax codes are a cleverly devised jargonistic legal device to persuade, intimidate, prosecute, and then steal from the people something they do not owe. Here again is another system based upon fear and marketed obligation.